la embajada tiene que ser una plataforma de encuentros. Un encuentro no solamente entre diplomáticos o entre personas del gobierno, pero también un encuentro entre empresas, entre la sociedad civil, entre la ciudadanía en general, donde podemos hablar de distintas cosas y asuntos que nos preocupan y donde podemos intercambiar experiencias y conocimientos. Y bueno, los suecos somos conocidos por ser muy cuadriculados. Nos desviamos nunca de la línea recta. Pero hay una excepción, y cuando vamos a proteger a los más débiles, los más vulnerables, los que más queremos, damos la vuelta. Y es decir, a veces vamos al revés, ¿no? Vamos en contra. Pues ahí es lo que vamos a discutir hoy. ¿Por qué hay que marchar en contra? Para aumentar, para asegurar de que el 90% se puede disminuir por el 90% los daños que se hacen a los niños con una simple acción de esto en el coche. Y eso vamos a discutir hoy con la empresa Axkid. Y entonces yo espero que ustedes van a tener una jornada interesante aquí con muchas nuevas ideas, con muchos nuevos encuentros. Y luego en el cóctel pueden disfrutar de los otros salones de la embajada también, y mirar las obras de arte y los muebles, muchos de ellos originales de cuando empezamos aquí hace más de 100 años. Bueno, muy bienvenidos todos y doy la palabra a ¿quién? Bueno, ahí. Gracias.
Bueno, pues buenos días, bienvenidos. Yo soy Marta Eril, soy la coordinadora de este evento que organiza hoy Axkid en Madrid. Y bueno, pues quería agradecer en primer lugar, tanto en nombre de Axkid como en el mío propio, la gran acogida que ha tenido esta idea y esta propuesta de seguridad desde el primer momento, desde la primera comunicación con todo el mundo. Estamos encantados de haber podido materializar el primer día de la contramarcha en España. Esperamos que sea el primero, pero no el último, y que sea un paso más y otro empujón que le vayamos a dar a la seguridad de los más pequeños, que yo creo que es una lucha común de todos los que nos encontramos hoy aquí. Y bueno, pues por mi parte, nada más. Cualquier duda, todo el equipo de organización estamos a vuestra disposición en todo momento. Muchas gracias.
Hi, my name is Daniel, and I am the Safety and Compliance Manager at Axkid. So I'm here today to talk a little bit about our company, who we are, and what we do, and why we think this is important. So I'm going to focus more on us as a company, and then we have some guests with us that's going to talk a little bit more about the research and statistics behind it. Axkid is a company. We are located in Gothenburg in Sweden, a city that's well known for its automotive engineering. We have a lot of education. We have a lot of companies working with road safety, and this is one of the best city in Sweden when it comes to road safety. So in Gothenburg we have a lot of companies working with road safety, and we are quite famous for it up in Sweden, so there's actually no surprise that we have one of the lowest infant mortalities in the world when it comes to car accidents. With our roots and DNA from Sweden and from Swedish engineering, our passion about child safety is all about safety, comfort, and education. Our car seats are developed based on the philosophy that children and their families should be able to move and travel in the safest possible way, in the most convenient possible way, in the easiest possible way. We as a company exist to make traveling with children safe, since we believe that every injury or child injury in a car is one too much. And our solution to this is to go rearward facing for as long as possible. And that's also one thing that we are known for in Sweden, that we actually do already. And this is also one of the reasons we're here today, to talk a little bit more about this. Our company was founded in 2009 by two gentlemen named Tony Broberg and Tony Quist. Both of them have extensive experience in the child care industry from the beginning. Tony Quist has working for other brands and for other companies just with child care. And Tony Broberg has been working in the industry of supplying components for child seats like belts and harness and things like that. Based on their experience, they found that child seats could be made much more easier and much more safer and much more convenient to use for the parents. So they collaborated and thought we should do this by ourselves and do this better. So this started in 2009, developing the first seat, our first product, and we had it on the market in 2011. So it was a 2-year development for the first product, which is quite fast. I'm coming into this a little bit later as well. So 2011, we had the first seat on the market, and that was on the Swedish market. And then in 2013, we had our first product on the European markets. We expanded outside of Sweden in just 2 years. Today, Axkid is present in over 10 countries around in Europe, and we had a revenue growth of 300% from the last 3 years. During next year, we have the goal to be present in 10 more countries, so we're aiming for doubling the presence in countries in Europe during next year. In Sweden, we have one of the most popular car seats that's currently on sale. This one is popular in Sweden because we do understand the rearward-facing traveling, and we understand the safe traveling. And our product enables that to go as long as possible. So that's the reason why this has become one of the most popular ones on the Swedish market. So the education and the understanding among parents in Sweden is one of the main reasons we have so low fatalities in Sweden. This also in combination with the Swedish vision of zero deaths, the zero vision, which is a combination between all companies working together, and we try to develop the roads, and we do a lot of things in the traffic. So this in combination with education and understanding by the parents is the reason we have so low fatal incidents in Sweden. With our Scandinavian heritage and experience, we are driven by passion for safety. In everything we do, in all our communication, in all our design, in all our development, we really strive for this Scandinavian passion and the Scandinavian traditions. We also know that education and communication is a vital thing in saving children's lives. It's not just about making the best product and the safest product. You have to educate people, you have to teach them how to use the product. And this is also one of the main things we understand in Sweden. As a company, we always want to participate and influence in the public debate about children and road safety. And in forums such as this one, because through improved standards and level of knowledge, we save lives. So transforming great ideas to products that saves lives, how do we do it, and what's important to think about? First of all, we need to understand that developing a child seat takes time, and it differs depending on what type of product it is and the complexity of the product, but usually takes about 2 to 3 years from an idea to a final product. So I made a slide here to show you basically how we develop our seats and how do we work in this process. So this whole process we see on the screen right now is, for a normal seat, about 2 to 3 years. We always start with an idea for a product or an idea for a change of a product or an update of a product. And the input for this can come from new technical innovations. It can come from forums like this, from public debates, from influencers. It can also come from the internal marketing department or development department. So we start by identifying the problem. What is the actual problem and what are we going to solve? So we start with this idea, and then we start doing analysis, testing. We look for information, we ask other people what they think, and kind of move from that. When we move from the idea, we move on to a pre-study, and this is the most interesting part, if you ask me. Because in the pre-study, we take the basic idea and see, can we really make this, and how can we make it? And we try to find solutions for the actual problem. So during the pre-study, we focus mainly on the comfort for the children and the usability for the parent. So in this stage, we are not focusing on engineering or construction or any of that. We are just focusing on the children, we're focusing on the usability for the parent, and try to solve the main problem first, before we even start with the engineering behind it. So during this phase, we do a lot of mock-ups, we do a lot of usability studies. We actually invite real-life parents, real-life children, and we do some testing in real cars in different environments. We try to install, and we try to take them out of the car, and we try to attach the children and remove them, and we do this all over again to find the best solution and the best possible way of designing the seat, basically. So we always try to look outside of the box and not focusing on the products that's already on the market, because if we do look at the products already on the market, then we will probably end up with a new product looking similar to the ones that already exist. This doesn't solve a problem. This just coping an existing problem. So how do we do this? We start by looking at the child in perspective and just focus on the child. And then we try some unconventional ways to see how we can support the child in a car. So we put the child in the car and we see what is the best position, how will they be seated most comfortably, and how can we make it easier for the parent, and how can we extend the leg space, things like that. And then we use unconventional methods to really support the child until we find the best solution and find the best position for it. So when we find this position and we have found a way to support the child, we start doing the basic sketches for it, the basic design. How are we going to support this and how are we going to put the seat? And this is also where we start to look on all the features of the seat. Where should we put the push buttons? Where should we have the mechanisms that's supporting, and how should we adjust different features of the seat? And also in this stage, we also start looking at the industrialization part of the product already from the beginning. So we have this with us from the beginning. Is this possible to make in real life? Can we, of course, everything is possible to make, but can we make it in an affordable way, in a practical way, and can we really do this as a final product that doesn't cost too much for the end consumer? So the pre-study phase takes approximately about half a year, 6 months. And after that, we still only have like basic sketches of how the seat is going to look. We have the basic geometry, we have the basic features, the basic functions, and the rough sketches of the main design for the seat. So now we start with the engineering behind the design. We're moving on to the concept development. Now it's time to really find a structure, an engineering structure that we can hide behind the design that really supports the design, really supports the child and works in all possible situations, and then, of course, succeeding in crash testing. So in this phase, we start with the basic structure engineering, and we do a lot of virtual crash testing. We'll do a lot of digital crash testing in the computers before, so we can actually analyze how the seat works in a real-life accident and in different situations. And now we're also talking about all kinds of crash testing. We're talking about the frontal and the rear impact and the side impact, and we can try to make an angle of it, and we can try pretty much every different speed, every different positions that we want. And this part is something that's very important and very benefit for us, because while we do this, we can try everything at once, even before we made the first prototype. So normally we have like 400, even 500 digital crash testing, even before the first physical prototype. This also makes that when we make the first physical mock-up, the main goal for the first mock-up is to try it in cars and try it with real-life children to see if it solves the main problem from the beginning, the whole idea that the whole problem that we were about to solve. By doing these calculations and all this digital crashing before, we also know that the mock-up we build, the mock-up we are testing with the children, actually is going to work in crash testing as well. So we don't have to redo everything while we start with the crash testing. And since we have all this equipment by ourselves and do all the calculations by ourselves and really analyze everything by ourselves, we can also try all the different variations of crash testing that's on the market right now, because you have different labs, you have different pulses, you have different pre-requirements from different parts of the world. We can analyze everything in the computer before, so we have control of it even before we start with the actual physical crash testing. By this, we also speed up the whole development phase and also make it more cost effective, because since we have so much control of the construction so early in the project, we can start doing the actual tools for production quite early in the project instead of making manual prototypes, instead of making like 1-2 seats and try them. We can actually go ahead and make more tooling right from the beginning, so we can make more extensive testing when we start with the actual physical testing. So this whole process is looped a couple of times. So we start with doing the basic engineering, we do the digital crash testing, we make the first prototype, the first mock-up that we try in cars, we try with real-life children. When I say real-life children, I don't talk about crash tests, of course, I talk about feasibility studies in cars. So when we start with the actual physical testing, we usually make like 10 to 15 prototypes, because from the computer before we know what's the worst case and what's the most critical crash testing we need to do. So in the beginning, it's enough just to do with 10, 15 crash tests. So this process is looped a couple of times. We do some more engineering, we do some more design changes, we do some more basic testing. But when we end up with the final product that we really believe in, we are satisfied with the design, we're satisfied with the features and the functions, then we move on to the big testing. So now we're moving on to making the actual tools in the factory and making the final products for it. And this is also the phase where we start to do the final industrialization of the product. We really make the big batches in production. It's just not we make 1 seat or 2 seats. We actually start building the big volume, so we know that the quality, we can keep the quality during big volumes, and we can keep the main features of the seat as well, even though we ramp up in volumes. So from these first batches, we then go on to the approval testing and the certification of the product. So now we're talking about around 60 to 70 physical crash testing, and we do it in different labs all around because it differs depending on what one you want to test. We do all the certification testing, of course. We do our own testing because we have higher standards than just the normal regulation ones, and we do, for example, the plus testing that Tom is going to talk about later. So this takes about approximately 60 physical crash testing to achieve all of this. And after this, we are ready to launch the product. It's now approved, and we have all the features we want, and we have the design we're satisfied with, and it works. And we have tried it with real-life children, we have tried it with real-life parents, we have tried it in cars, we have tested as much as we can do, and we're really satisfied with the product. Then we launch it on the market, and we make the big thing for that. So all of this ends up then in our company's vision that we together we build the future, and we build products to be able to build the future. And our main goal or our vision is to have 0 deaths on the road by 2035 in the European market. That's the vision of Axkid. And as I mentioned before, our solution for this is to go rearward facing for as long as possible. And this is what we want other people to believe in and really trust in. And that's also the reason we have invited you all here today, to take this apart in this journey with us. And by that, I would say thank you from me and invite Tommy up to the stage.